they love. So is the video ready to start again? Or it's loading?
Okay, so you're now live.
We're live. All right, we're gonna start.
We're back.
You don't have to redo everything. Just
Okay, just
Yeah.
so, and then, just a few more, and then, we want to recognize Jason Oprisic. He's a senior with us, graduating, class of 2023. He will sign his letter of intent to go to Mount St. Joseph University in Cincinnati, Ohio. So he had just an excellent football career with us, and great basketball player too. Also want to congratulate our 7th grade robotics team, won top skills and the excellence award for middle school at the Saturday, February 12th competition at Portage High School. The excellence award is the top award given to a team at a competition and earned them an invitation to the state competition at Lucas Oil Stadium. So congratulations to those guys. And then lastly, we want to recognize our Wabash County Honors Band and Choir kids who qualified. In choir, Fritz Kirk, Duke Sparks, Maddox Elsie, Isaac Bragg, Caitlin Rank, Libby Price, Ren Norman, Zari Prees, Sarah Smith, and Lindsay Silvers. And these students made the Wabash County Honors Band: Dakota Wilson, Kaylee Nelson, Lindsay Silvers, Megan Davis, Mackenzie Moorman, Malia Mahan, Olivia Snow, Ethan Locker, Naomi Davis, Logan Shellhammer, and Alan Skyer. And so that closes out the scripting that I have written there.
Now, go ahead and continue on.
Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about, in September of 2021, I received a letter or a postcard from Mike Emmerich, Dr. Emmerich, who was a longtime famous hockey play-by-play announcer. And if you know anything about hockey, you know Doc Emmerich and his impact on the sport. And so he said he had been awarded 8 Emmys over his time as an announcer, and he said he would donate one to school. And so he gave me his email address, and I said, sure, yeah, we would love to have it. What an awesome, gracious gift. And then I didn't hear anything from him, and so I thought, well, maybe I got the wrong email address. And so he emailed me the Friday that we returned from Christmas break, and said, hey, here's my number. How do I get into the school? And so came in and presented us with his Emmy on Friday, January 6th. And so we have it on display in the building near the sports, near the gyms. And so there it is. And so
Can you take it out and without dropping it? You got gloves?
it makes me a little nervous. He just handed, take it out of there, hold it, you know. And I kept thinking of, there's a Saturday Night Live skit with Eddie Murphy and where he drops the Heisman Trophy and they try to glue it back together. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I drop this thing, you know. So this is it.
How about
So,
And again, what year is that?
I think that's 2013, but I may have to.
14 when Arizona.
14. And the reason why he chose the one of the 8
Oh,
was
yeah,
because
yeah,
of
it was
50.
the 50th anniversary of his graduation from South. And so, pretty neat thing. And so, I don't know very many high schools that have an Emmy on display. You're gonna leave it up there for the meeting?
Now everyone can stare at it.
I don't know.
I've seen it. So. Yeah, if you just leave it there, that'd be great. So.
Okay.
If I read that correctly, he was cut trying to be quarterback.
Yeah.
Yep. But he's found some success in some other
Yeah, I think
places.
so.
and so
Worked out all right
it's
for them. So.
They had a national show on NBC about him. Because it was very good. If you get a chance to watch it sometime.
And where will you house the notebook?
All of that is in the display case, just in the, near the 2 gyms. The other thing that, this is a guy that, when he retired, he was at the pinnacle of his career. You know, traveled all over the United States, traveled all over the world. I mean, I think he did some play-by-play for the Olympics, hockey in the Olympics. And so he had given me his cell phone number when he emailed me asking about how to get in the building, what the protocol was. And so I texted him and let him know. And then throughout the day, he just texted me about things, about the school and about where he lived and some things like that. And for a guy who is as successful as he's been, he just struck me as a very down-to-earth, humble guy. It was just a neat experience. Really, really nice guy.
And I also got a text from him after I congratulated him and thanked him for that. And I just read part of it. It says, I remember both your parents well, because my dad was a teacher there, and you as a toddler. So that's been a couple of years ago. You were very well behaved. No, I don't. One time. So thank you for bringing that tonight and explaining here for just a few minutes when we finish up, and then you can take it back aside. So.
One thing that stayed with me, Andrew, from that program that I saw on NBC was that his fellow broadcaster said there was nobody that prepared more. You know, if I recollect it correctly, he would rent, for his hotel room, he'd always make sure he had 2 beds so that he could put all this stuff out on one to study it as he prepared. Yeah, I guess my point, you don't get to where he was able to get to without work.
Yeah. And he was very, very good. He expressed that game, so.
And just to recognize too, his dad was a principal at Southwood for many years also. So. All right, I'll continue on then with several recognitions. So first of all, from Mr. Snyder, several Northfield students participated in the ISMA Solo and Ensemble District Contest on Saturday, January 28th at East Noble High School in Kendallville and received gold and silver ratings for their performances. Congratulations to senior Addie France for receiving a perfect score gold rating on her solo. She will be advancing to state contest on Saturday, February 18th at Perry Learning Middle School in Indianapolis. Congratulations to senior Tori Graff for receiving a silver rating for her first ISMA solo. And first-time freshman soloist Wyatt Barton, Lily Barton, and Drake King all received gold ratings. Trio singers, including Anna Hodgson, Tori Graff, Addie France, received a silver rating. And ensemble singers, Zara Dunn, Kendall Mercer, Cammie Parker, Burton Black, Wyatt Barton, Alyssa Mackey, and Annie French received a silver rating. And quartet singers, Addie France, Anna Hodgson, Drake King, and Lily Barton also received a silver rating. So these three girl groups were within a point or a half point of earning a gold rating. Also from Northfield, a big thank you to the NHS Key Club and Student Council for organizing dances for students the last couple of weeks. The Key Club sponsored the Junior High Blizzard Ball Dance on January 28th. Student Council sponsored the high school semi-formal on February 11th. Also from Northfield, Saturday, February 4th, Huntington University hosted their 18th annual high school art exhibit at the Robert E. Wilson Gallery located at the Maryland Center for the Arts. There were 129 art pieces representing 15 high schools in the region. Northfield had 3 winners: Lane Denton, Best of Show in Ceramics, Asia Miller, honorable mention sculpture, Emma Bone, honorable mention in China marker, and Lane won the top award for his piece, Inspiration from the East. Congratulations to these students, and thanks to our teacher, Mr. Adams Weevil, for taking the time to help students enter these contests. Also from Northfield, congratulations to the Northfield girls Wabash County basketball selections for 22-23. Player of the Year, Hannah Holmes. First team All-American, all Wabash County, Hannah Holmes and Eli Baker. Second team All Wabash County, Cameron Kuhn. Congratulations to senior Dylan Thompson for breaking his brother Clayton's all-time three-point shooting record at Northfield. Clayton was on hand to present Dylan his award with a smile on his face. Congratulations to the 2022-2023 Indiana High School Coaches Association Academic All-State winners, Malachi Higgins, Asia Miller, Carson Pratt, Lane Denton, Baden Turner. The minimum requirement for this was junior or senior with an 8.75 GPA or higher. Also, the junior high robotics team completed a Heritage Christian School on Saturday, January 21st. It was an all middle school event with a total of 9 teams. Our team placed 5th in competitive driving and was eliminated in the semifinal round. They placed 4th overall in skills and won the Inspire Award. The Inspire Award is presented to the most passionate and positive team at the event. They exhibit integrity and goodwill toward other teams, share designs, and embrace the concept of cooperative learning and serve as a positive example to others. Team members Madam Holly, Stella Stevens, Gavin Lester, Preston Moore, Nate Hudson, and Colin Beal. Just a few more here. This is from Sharp Creek, Mr. Martin, and also especially Amber Bretzman. Sharp Creek Robotics would like to say a huge thank you to Northfield for letting us use the main gym for their tournament this past Sunday on the 11th. Many teams and coaches commented on the amazing facilities and how nice it looked. We would personally like to thank the custodial staff of Mr. Miracle, Mr. Norman, and Mr. Goshard. They were extremely helpful, friendly, and just wonderful to work with. Mr. Norman took his time to come to Sharp Creek and check that everything I needed. Lisa took time to show me how to use a scoring table, lend us her carts and unload equipment, and just help in any way she could. Mr. Miracle was very friendly and helped us with where the items located the night before and checking in. We want to thank Mr. Snyder and Mr. Oswald for allowing us to use the main gym. It was a great tournament because your willingness to let us use the gym and all help you gave prior to the tournament starting. We want to thank our admins, so Mr. Martin, Mr. Drake, for all taking the day to volunteer at our event. Your support meant a lot to us and helped ensure the success of our tournament. Thank you to the countless parents and staff volunteers who helped with our day. It was truly a robotics village. Additional thank you to Sherm Gray, Jason Lyons, and the NRT High School Robotics team for volunteering as well. We appreciate their willingness to help, hop in and help. Lastly, I wanted to pass along that we received numerous compliments for our tournament. We were told by parents, coaches, and teams that this was by far the best tournament they had been to this year. They are looking forward to our tournament next year. We actually ended our tournament 40 minutes early after starting 30 minutes late. This can only be contributed to wonderful volunteers we have. One thing I wanted to mention that she didn't put in here was Amber Bretzman, the teacher and the coach, for her endless hours she spent pulling that off because there was a lot going on after the basketball game on Friday night. They spent pretty late. Even some of our tech people were there late into Friday night to be prepared and be there around, I think, 6 a.m. Saturday morning to get everything prepared for all those teams. So it was a lot of fun to see all the collaboration that happens with those. And, you know, Mrs. Lenny always back to look at these too. I think I have shared all those. So I appreciate the time to be able to share recognitions.
Thanks, Mike. Any public comment on agenda items this evening from the public? If not, I'm going to group the approval of minutes, both the Board of Finance meeting and the regular meeting on the 24th of January together. If I have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of financial reports. We'll first look at claims. A lot of money for 40 television sets.
Yeah, I did see that.
So those televisions.
I'm envious, okay.
So we've been in the process of replacing our overhead projectors with televisions. And so this actually completes that process, which we had some rooms at both of our high schools that still were without TVs. And so those are commercial TVs. They're not like the TVs that you would buy at a store or anything like that. So they have a little bit more lasting power than a normal TV does. But they seem to work well for us.
No, I'm fine with it, Chris. I just trying to make you. We have a motion for approval of claims. Any more questions? So moved. Second. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Payroll.
Nothing out of the ordinary for payroll. We'll probably start seeing some ECA, like coaches pay and that type of stuff, start creeping in these next few payrolls as winter seasons end.
Payroll. Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Personnel, HR.
But can I go over just
Oh,
one last
yeah.
thing with financial
Yeah,
summary?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. End of the month balances, so this will be the first in the month for 2023. So Mr. Porter, just so you can kind of be aware, it lists out all of our funds that we have. It gives us the beginning balance. That first column is the beginning balance for the year for 2023. So that will always stay the same. And then the next column is the beginning balance for just that month period. So this one represents January. Then it will give you the activity fiscal year to date, plus or minus, depending on if there was gains or losses. And then the next column is the monthly activity for just that specific month, plus and minuses, and then your ending balance at the end of that month. And so you will see some balances in there that are that have minuses or negatives. Those are typically grant funds. And so how grant funds work is that we pay that money up front and then we have to claim reimbursement for that grant. And so that's why you'll see a lot of those numbers as you get lower on the list in the negatives, because those are usually grant funds. But we'll take a look at that every month, and then the next board meeting, we will take a little more specific look into cash flows for our education operation funds. But that's all I wanted to present with that. Nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to our balances right now, so.
Yeah, I personally kind of like to watch the expenditures out of the GO bonds and see how that's trending, where it's, like, 2016 is about finished.
Those are all encumbered, and so that will probably be off the books by the next board meeting. As we wait some invoices, but yeah.
Thanks, Chris. It looks good. HR, we have under resignation Kelly Beaver, bus driver on the north. Tiffany Rebaholtz, paraprofessional at Southwood Elementary. Carrie Hamill, head wrestling coach at Southwood High School. Employment, Ben Nessler, teacher, White's High School. Randy Collins, paraprofessional, Southwood Elementary. David Keith Allen, bus driver at the north. Brock Love, varsity tennis coach, Southwood High School. Jared Brooks, volunteer wrestling coach, Northfield High School. Colin Dawes, head golf coach at Northfield High School. Trey Cole, assistant golf coach, Northfield High School. Under transfer would be Jay Wyatt, transferring from White's High School as a teacher to the Bridge program. That's effective here at the beginning of this month. I think that's all.
Question, Mr. McDaniel. How long has Mr. Hamill been coaching?
Oh my goodness, I would say, I've been at Southwood 11 years, and I think he's been there all 11 years. I know that he had done some coaching at Northfield prior to that. He worked at White's, and then I think.
You also coached at White's also for a lot of years too, so.
So I know at least 11 years.
So he retired as a teacher a couple of years ago
2 years
now.
ago, yeah.
And so we put it as a resignation, but who knows, I don't know if it's retirement or resignation, because it's a little bit different when we talk about, coaches and things like that. But we appreciate all the time that he's put in, coaching a lot of different sports, but, most recently wrestling. And I know when I was principal at White's there for a few years, he was wrestling coach and doing different things in different schools. So been involved with our students for a long, long time. Yeah, I was gonna mention that, but thank you.
I move to approve the HR report.
Second.
Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Matt, anything in the heart on tonight?
I do not, our meetings, but if Mr.
Yeah.
will speak to something.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, Matt asked me if I would share a little bit about our meetings. So the board of managers, of course, are the board members from each school district of the 5-member schools. And then the 5-member school superintendents are actually part of an advisory board. So we don't have any voting power, but we have, we advise and different things like that. And the big thing is, I know, and I really appreciate Mr. Driscoll, if we have any conversations or if we need to discuss different things, we will talk about those. so he can ask me or I can ask him opinions and things like that. But the last meeting that we had, it's been a week ago Friday, in our advisory board, we actually had, actually a board member was there that was asking, a new board member was asking a lot of different questions. But right now, the big conversation is just about how we're going to do some different things with some of the things that are needed there at Heartland Career Center. For example, a new roof is needed probably within the next 2 or 3 years. Also some controls, and also some of the HVAC system. And one of the big items too is we really need more space. And so we're looking at possibility, of course, the board will actually vote on that if that's what they decide to do, but maybe do an addition also. But a lot of the questions are coming up now too, is how it's going to be paid for. Because Heartland Career Center, for the many years that they've been there, have not had any really major renovations or major things that we've had to do extra. And so all of these things will cost additional dollars that are different than what we typically, they receive from the member schools. And so there are different ways of doing that. Number one, some of the formula to do the student funding is based on our assessed valuation. And since MSD of Wabash County has the largest assessed valuation, we typically will pay, but we would pay more than in a school district. Now, I will say that North Miami, they're looking at putting a huge solar field that will actually double their AV at some point. So they'll be kind of maybe not in the same category as us, but closer to what we are right now. So that's one way. Another way is to do what they call, and which I don't know if MSD has ever done this before, but a common school loan. And common school loans are figured a little bit different. Number one, you get those from the state, and then the draw that we get from the state each month, those monies are coming out directly from the payment that we receive. But the way those are figured, it's based on enrollment. So if whichever school district has the most kids, then they would pay the most, obviously, and just down the line. And so there's a lot of discussion about that. But ultimately, what's going to happen now is that there's going to be a facility study. I believe maybe sometime in March, there'll be a facility study or a facility audit just to find out what really is needed in the building. We know for sure that the roof needs to be replaced. They know about the other things that I just mentioned, but there might be some other things that they're looking at. So those are some of the conversations that the board is going to have to discuss and make some of those decisions about which direction to go. But they really need to find out, number one, what is the cost of all those, a little bit better estimate. I mean, there's some good estimates, but even with the addition, and then how they're going to move forward with the funding. And every school district has a little bit, they have different financial situations, and you just have to work to make sure that everybody can work on the same page to get that all done. Because Heartland is a great opportunity for our students, and we need to make sure too that their facilities are in good shape and they get what they need. So
They just need a lot more space, especially with Wabash closing one building where they had the Ivy Tech, we got some students there, so that creates another shortage of places to put people. And it's kind of difficult working with different school districts wanting not to spend money different ways. And it's pretty easy for us down there to say, let's do it. Well, then we have to come back to everybody's board, and that's not as smooth.
The students that do come in, not very many, from outside the cooperative, how would they participate in paying for this?
You charge the students as they come up, and they get charged accordingly.
I don't know that they would be a part of this.
No,
because it's
no,
like
not
for the
part of any
member
capital
schools,
projects.
so
No.
They're
But
never
you-
part of the capital projects.
That's kind of my question.
Yes,
How would,
they would.
okay.
And there aren't near as many students just because the number of students that are been applied for those different programs that they have filling up. And so, and like Huntington used to send quite a few, but they're getting to the place where they have most of their own programs, not all of them. And of course, we still get the Oak Hill students too. They have actually asked us in the past, and I think you are aware of that, about how to join, but number one, we don't have enough space or room anyway right now. Plus, it would be really difficult to be able to join, I think, with the cost of what the value of Heartland in the ground that is there, so it'll be difficult. Not saying that they couldn't do it, but I think the space issue would be the biggest situation right
We
now.
have to build one even more than.
So it's something we're gonna have to tackle.
Two paths.
So I guess, has there been any leaning one way or the other of how the paperwork, I mean, to me, it makes more sense, the money follows the kid.
Well, that's what we would
I
prefer,
mean,
but
just
there's other
because,
districts that aren't as financially secure as we are, that don't want to do it that way. They would like it to go to the assessed value, because then they wouldn't have as much draw.
And right now, the agreement says assessed value
That was
for,
the enemy, wasn't
the assessed value part is part of the agreement. But when you're talking about going over and beyond just the regular capital project, budget, then that's when you have to have some of those discussions. But really, it ultimately comes down to what, the board of managers will agree upon, so.
And if it is based off of all assessed value, then we would be footing close to 40% of that bill, so.
But we don't get 40% of the seats.
No.
So I would, that's the challenge.
I would ask for the 40%.
Well, we have gone down that path, doing that, so, anyway, we'll have to have a special meeting for that, because that could take a long time.
I'm just curious, not to get too deep into this, but the decision will be made by your,
Our board, but then it has to come back to each individual board. The way
Some
I
things
understand
do,
it,
right,
yeah.
yeah, if it's just regular maintenance, that's already in the agreement, but I guess it has to come back, so.
But, just like we tried to change the funding on the students a little, like last year, we did it once, we tried to change it. Well, 2 of the boards approved it, but 3 did not, so we did not get to change that formula for the funds.
Some didn't even take it to the, because they wanted to look at, they want to look at the whole agreement and maybe look at maybe changes of the whole thing. But here again, you have different, it's not easy, I'll just say it that way.
okay, I got plenty of questions about this. I just wonder who decides about the length of bonding and all that. If you don't go the common school route, which is probably not likely to happen if they're taking money out of the tuition support. Yeah, I can't see that being very favorable to some corporations. So I just wondered how you
Actually, there
feel about
were,
bonding out.
actually, when they did a little just for the superintendents there, I mean, there were a couple that said, there were 2 that said common school, 2 that said EB, and 1 that was undecided because they just didn't, they knew enough to not know what to say, so it's kind of a mix.
And that's the problem, you know, you sit around here and say, well, let's do that. And it's hard to get everybody on the same page, you know, because I want superintendent's input because they know the financial stuff, you know. We're just kind of advisory, and some board members don't think we need to ask them, and just go ahead and do it. I think that's very important, our superintendent's input and business managers, and
And we appreciate our relationship that we can talk and do that, and,
some of them don't.
you know, I appreciate that.
That's pretty contentious in some schools. From what I hear.
So my only other thing, other than just the Heartland Career Center, just to say, again, we just appreciate the generosity of our school district and of our community in different situations that have happened. You know, we had a house fire with one of our families in the south, that people really came together with the Wabash County Sheriff's Department. We also have a health situation with the students south, and put something out there too for that. So just really thank people for their generosity to help families out in difficult situations. So I just want to mention that, and also just mention that there will be no school on Monday. That's President's Day. That's a no school day, no e-learning, just a regular day. So just make sure people know that it's on the calendar, but you got comments here or any questions?
Do we have to make up that last snow day, that last Friday?
No,
We don't have to make that up?
no. We have the flexibility of the 1003 flexibility waiver, which allows us to use the extra minutes that we have, so. Good question. That's all I have. I could say a lot more, but I don't keep doing that, so.
Mr. Drake, you have something?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the social media post that Laura put together about robotics teams, but I just wanted to stress to you, we have now 17 robotics competition teams. It was fun to go work at Sharp Creek because it's It's an event. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to go. Kevin was there, I think, for grandchildren maybe, or.
Yes.
Something.
For a very short time.
But he could attest to it. There's just a ton of people there. It has a very fun atmosphere. 17 teams, 92 students that get to participate in this. And I just am very proud that we get the chance to do that. And I'm hearing rumbling from coaches that they want to expand even more teams. And so fortunately, we've been having grant funding to help purchase the hardware. And we just always appreciate it. It really is the people, having good coaches that are willing to put the time in and make it fun for the kids. And so I just wanted to bring that up. We are working with IUK. We actually have an MOU that I think we'll be signing shortly and bring to you more officially later. But we're going to partner with them to offer what is being called the Indiana College Core Certificate. Basically what that means is these will be 30 credits that once you get them, the legislature has deemed them so you can transfer them anywhere in the state. And so we're proud to be able to that. We pieced together our own 30 credits without IUK, but it's kind of nice having a college partner to help us make sure we keep on top of that. And so, so basically a student that it's a good fit for them and they decide they want to chase those hours, they can get 30 hours, which is roughly a first year of college. And again, I think we pretty much offer it, but it'll be nice to have a partner there with that. And then we have annually an academic banquet, and so for the new board member, maybe introduction of that. We invite the board members to join with us, and I know Melissa Ball has sent you guys invitations. And we invite a speaker, and to keep parity, one year it's Northfield, the next year it's Southwood. And so this is the Southwood year. And so Zach Hobson, who has climbed the ladder of athletic trainers pretty well, Penn State University, and done some things there. He's going to come back and speak to our graduates this year. And so I kind of gave you a little bit of his biography there, but we'd like to see the board members there if you guys can make it. And finally, then I would end with science curriculum. Because of the snow that came on this textbook caravan, it kind of slowed down our chances to get a hold of material. So we are chasing down as much as we can. And once I get some of that there, I'll keep you updated with that. But we are in the process of getting science materials for our teachers. So that's curriculum stuff.
Thank you.
Yep.
You look like you were running around working hard this Saturday too. So.
Well, there was a lot to do. I'll tell you, Amber did a great job of organizing it. And I don't know if you saw Mr. Kiefer there. He got the job there. He got to sit still and enjoy the camaraderie of things. I don't know. Careful.
Yeah, as the program develops, whether it keeps going or not, then attention needs to be paid to help the people that are really all in.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we'll talk about that in the future.
Yeah, actually, it might come.
All right, we'll move on to new business this evening. First item's recommendation to approve 2023-2024 White's Junior High School calendar, which is subject to change.
Yes, subject to change, but theirs probably won't change as much as maybe the other one. It just depends on legislation, a lot of different things, if we get the 1003 flexibility waiver or not for the next year. But as you know, that they do typically a 4-day week. So that means they'll start, they do a non-traditional in July, a few days, and then go ahead and start officially later on in July and then in August. And they pretty much go all the way through the end of June. One thing that we need to do though, the DOE doesn't always recognize that. But in the past, we went to the very maybe last day of June, but they require a lot of the reports that we have to fill in by like July 1 or the end of June. So we had to back that off a little bit. So there's a little deviation to some of the calendar. But this is something that Mike McDivitt puts together a lot. And then of course the new format that Laura Lange-Barrows does looks very, very good. And so I just recommend that this calendar be approved for 2020-23, 2020-24. I said too many 20s. 2023, 2024. Too many 20s.
Motion for that?
I move to approve that schedule.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Second item, recommendation to approve purchase of 2 yellow buses.
2 yellow buses,
They have
not
yellow.
orange, not red.
They're school bus yellow though, there's a difference
Yellow.
though.
You want to explain a little bit of that, Chris?
Yeah,
Why-
yeah,
Why
definitely.
now, kind of thing?
So, back when we work on our budgets, one of the things that we have to submit as part of that budget process is a bus replacement plan. And so, with that, this is a little interesting on how things have worked out this past year, because last January of 2022, we had a recommendation and approval to purchase a couple buses. Our goal is to try to replace a couple buses a year as we go through this, so that we don't get caught up in having a year where we have to purchase 8 buses or something like that, which I think Mr. Kefauver did his first year.
Because I inherited that.
But so with that, we purchased them, got the approval, well, because of just everything with
Supply chain.
supply and demand and supply chain issues, we still haven't received those buses. And so we haven't paid for them, but we haven't received them yet either. And so we are set, they keep moving the date back, but April's the next date that we've heard. So we haven't received buses we purchased last year. We're looking at purchasing more buses, which are gonna be another year away as well. But the one thing that has happened between that year, or that last purchase and this purchase, is that buses have went up, the cost of a bus has went up 20%. And so we have, we purchase through a co-op, and so there are co-op bids that change in the fall and the spring. And so this co-op bid is planning to change in the spring again here at the end of March. And they told us that it's gonna probably go up another 15 or 20% for a new bus. And so we felt like it would be a good opportunity to still take advantage of a lower price, even though we may be another year out, but we have the buses coming from last year soon, hopefully, with that. So anyway, with that being said, we currently have 40 buses in our fleet. 34 of those are yellow, 6 of those are white. 27 are active, and we do keep spares on hand for subs and field trips and those types of things. So we have 27 active and 7 spares. We like to keep at least 6 spares as a minimum, and we like to replace at least 10% of our active fleet. So again, like I mentioned, we try to replace a couple buses a year with that. So our recommendation would be to get those buses ordered for next year, because that's how long it will take to get those. And so we'd like to get 2 yellow buses for a total cost price of $233,940. And you can see the cost comparisons through the cooperative purchase. Thomas is the cheapest bus, and actually Thomas is our favorite bus to work with as well. So I know Kyle likes the mechanical side of those buses. So that would be our recommendation, to approve a couple bus purchases, even though we probably won't get those bus purchases till next year.
So that price is locked in
Yes.
as soon as you order, there's no,
Yep. Yeah, we've not had any issues with the buses we purchased last year. They say it's still gonna be the same price. We've heard rumblings from other places that have purchased buses or other things like that, you know, they had to come back and pay more, because it took so long to get buses, but those prices are locked in.
On the bus replacement schedule that you gave us, which I appreciate, so you anticipate 4 buses the year after then?
that's the anticipation. So that doesn't mean it works out that way necessarily. So you are aware, Mr. Porter, is that buses are kind of usually put on a 12-year cycle, because after 12 years, then we are required to have them inspected more frequently. And so buses can last longer than 12 years, buses can last less than 12 years. Just depends on the wear and tear of that bus. And so the plan goes out to 12 years. So when we buy a new bus, then we plan to replace it in 12 years. That may, like I said, that may be sped up or pushed back depending on our needs and the life of the bus still left in it, so.
Do you guys have a depreciation? I mean, is it a 3-year depreciation, 5-year? What do you guys normally do? Anything like that?
As far as depreciation,
Yeah. Do you X amount of dollars per year for those buses? Obviously, you're paying for everything up front.
we pay for everything up front and we run them until they're no good.
Okay.
And
And
it
so-
depreciates about 99%.
Yes.
I know some companies will they'll put it on a 5-year budget where they're paying X amount of dollars for 5 years
No,
back to themselves for that. So,
And there are other programs like leasing and things like that, but that would cost more long
in the
runs.
long run.
No,
No,
has-
we've always been able to pay for our buses up front. And that way we run until they die.
Ellison automatic transmissions. Transmission's automatic.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're all automatic, yep.
How many buses do we have that are not?
I think we're all
They're all-
automatic.
They're
now.
all there?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we've gotten, I think, not this last round of buses we got rid of, but the previous round, I think that did away with our manual, our manual buses. So they're all automatic.
Makes it easier getting a bus driver.
And then we purchase these buses, we equip, like the first 6 rows with the harnesses for the preschool age kids and that type of stuff, and so.
They all are equipped with cameras where you can see them.
Yep.
And those are getting better all the time too.
You need a motion for that?
Yeah, we need a approval.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the 2 buses that have been discussed. All in favor? Opposed? All right, third item of new business is recommendation to approve the resolution to waive Indiana Code 20-30-2-3. Would you like to explain what that is?
Yes, and maybe for Mr. Porter too. So let me go back 2 years ago. 2 years ago, our calendar would say that any day that we missed, we would just go to e-learning. So it'd be asynchronous learning, which asynchronous just means that you can learn from any place, but also at any time. So the assignments can be pushed out. Kids didn't necessarily have to do it right then, but they had a requirement to get things completed. And so last year, the legislator said that you could only have 3 asynchronous days. And typically, school districts would have e-learning asynchronous during PD days, professional development days. So there was going to be a situation. So now what you do, if you can only have 3 days and you miss maybe a total of 5, 6, 7 days of school, do you make all those up at the end of the school year? What do you do? Well, the DOE then reminded that there's an Indiana code that said that you could actually waive some different Indiana codes, and one of them would be this, and that what that means is to waive the 180-day mandatory, and you could actually use your minutes instead. So last year we did this. You did this a very similar resolution, and that's how we had our calendar this year. And so originally they were saying that those waivers would last for 3 years, but then they backed off and said it's only 1 year, so you have to apply each year. So we would like to apply again for next year. This waiver is very, very similar, except where it talks about some of the things that we're doing. We added a little bit more to that within focusing on student literacy. And we will have a JOT form, which is pretty involved. Mr. Drake did the majority of the work today. I helped supervise him doing that work this morning, but we put this together and we have a team of people that are looking at it too, and we will actually apply for that if you approve the resolution, because part of what the DOE asks is that you approve the resolution. So this is very similar to last year, just a little bit of addition, the dates are different. But we had asked that we do that. And part of the reason why we like to do this, number one, when we have our PD days, if we can concentrate on having the professional development and not necessarily doing all the different things at one time. So for example, when teachers are trying to learn new professional development ideas, instructional practices, it is sometimes difficult to be able to answer all the students' questions, putting out the homework and doing all that at the same time. Plus, when we have parent-teacher conferences, that is another good time that they can just concentrate on parent-teacher conferences instead of doing two things at once. In the old days, what happened too was that we would actually have instructional assistants, paraprofessionals that would actually cover classes while our teachers were doing that. And that wasn't necessarily nothing against the paraprofessionals, but just it was just a lot of confusion in our schools. So there are a lot of schools that are doing this again. If you approve this resolution, then we will fill out the JOT form. We will not know until May if it is approved or not. So we'll just have to, that's why the calendar may have to change or may not have to change. So again, if you have any questions, you can ask those now, but I would ask that you approve this recommendation for this resolution.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. New items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 all deal with approval of field trips. I'm going to group those all together, but I'll try and read down through them. Recommendation to approve the out-of-state field trip for Northfield Advanced PE to Swiss Valley. That's ski resort, and that's February 21st. Recommendation to approve out-of-country field trip for Southwood Junior Senior High School to England, and you'll notice that is not until the year 2025. Recommendation to approve an overnight extended field trip for Northfield High School Band, High School Acapella, and treble choirs to Explore the Arts Tour in Chicago. That'll be in May. Recommendation to approve the out-of-state field trip for Northfield AP Physics, Chemistry, and Calculus classes to Cedar Point Math and Physics Day. That's also in May. And finally, recommendation to approve the overnight extended field trip for Northfield Key Club to District Leadership Convention in Indianapolis, and that's at the end of this month. Questions on any of those?
I move to accept.
Did you second, Scott?
I am curious why the England trip, why so far out?
Well, just a lot of planning, also raising funds to do that. There's a lot of things to
It's for
plan.
the whole high school.
This is the,
No.
visual and, it's the art program, music and choir and art.
Okay. There's some grades 7 through 12, I'm like, hey, come on.
And part of this is they wanted to put that out early too, just to find out what the interest would be, because there's a possibility if there's no interest, they won't have it. But they wanted to put it out early enough to be able to get that, because there's a lot to do when you have that larger trip. So.
Board member chaperone, is that what you were volunteering down there?
Yeah, I volunteered.
All right.
All right. No unfinished business. We have board policy. It would be the second reading of policy number 4085 about attendance.
Yeah, and basically, when we looked at the review, some of our handbooks and both elementary and high school or secondary, and then look at our policy, board policy, they did not match up, and we actually had some changes in the code, so this basically just matches that up for everything. So,
At the last meeting,
Yeah.
under attendance procedures,
yeah, that should have been changed.
it is,
Huh?
it's not.
We changed it.
If a pattern of excessive attendance develops,
I sat there with her and changed it.
She texted the wrong copy.
No, right there it is. It's here. Attendance procedures. If a pattern of excessive attendance develops.
You didn't get the change down as it was either, there were two options, either to phrase it as irregular attendance or excessive absences.
Okay, well, one of them got done, but. So it needs to say excessive absences, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going with excessive, then it should be absences.
Actually, we did this just to see if you'd read it.
You were checking it, weren't you?
It worked. So, let me take my time here to write this out, so. I can bring it back to you, or you can,
I think we can vote with the changes.
Yes.
I'm putting big asterisk here, okay. So we got 1 out of 2, that's 50%. Baseball, that's really, really good. $500.
Okay, if everybody understands the change there that was made, I'll take a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second, it was so comfortable, not that too.
All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We also have now the first reading of Board Policy 6170.
So it seems like we end up receiving all kinds of policies that the Indiana Department of Education wants us to approve. And so in this particular case, in the last 2 years, we have been required to do verification of student residents. And a lot of that was because of our border counties having students that came over from other states and different things like that. And so we have been doing this practice with our registration that you have. So if you have students now, I don't know if you do the registration for your children or not, or you do, Scott, but basically that is on there right now that we have to have some kind of proof of residency. And so, but one thing that we did not have in the requirement was an actual policy. So we were doing this in practice, but we did not have an actual policy. So this policy comes directly, when I talked to Indiana School Boards Association, they gave us a recommendation of a policy, and this was not changed other than us putting it in our queue as far as a 6170 student resident verification. So again, this is just the first reading. I think I did put one little typo in there, so you can find that right now. Just kidding. But if you find something that was on purpose, really, it really was just taken from the policies that were given from the Indiana School Boards Association. So if there are any questions, or if you see anything between now and the next meeting, just let me know, and we can look at that.
All right. Any public comment online, or you never have anything to comment on?
We're just admiring the ties.
Do you think they should do that every?
It looks professional.
Sorry.
I'd like to take a vote on
I was teasing Chris. for
Some
some
short,
picture.
simple weather guy.
You might. Short. Yeah, we can put a cloth over there.
Items from board members? If not, we're adjourned.